After reaching all-time highs in November, the month of January was turbulent for cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin dropping to less than 33,000, down more than 50% from its November peak, with around $1.4 trillion wiped from the crypto market. Joining us for more on what we can expect over the next few months in 2022 is Alex Tapscott, Managing Director at Ninepoint Digital Asset Group. Good morning to you.
Morning.
Over the past 2 weeks, we've seen Bitcoin stabilize with prices starting to rebound. What kind of fluctuations can we expect in the coming months?
Well, they say that in the short term, the market is a voting machine, and in the long term, it's a weighing machine. So recently, we've been seeing a lot of investors voting with their wallets and selling off what are called risk assets. And this is true not only of digital assets, but also equities, stocks. So, for example, the NASDAQ is in a correction territory. That means it's declined more than 10%. And even the broader market gauge similarly has sold off. And a lot of that is driven by concerns about rising interest rates. And Bitcoin, I think, was caught up in that sell-off. But as you pointed out, it is starting to stabilize. And in the long term, if you're weighing the fundamentals of the asset class, rather than just voting with your dollars in the short term, you can see that the future looks very bright. We're seeing broad institutional adoption, PayPal, Visa, MasterCard, and other payments companies. Retail investors are beginning to scoop up Bitcoin at a discount. And more broadly, the digital asset ecosystem is beginning to disrupt a lot of industries, everything from finance to art and collectibles to even gaming. So I can't say what things will look like in a month or two, but long term, this industry is on the right track.
Yeah, it's turbulent as it goes towards being more mainstream. We talked about cryptocurrencies losing half their value in a matter of weeks. How did that happen?
More sellers than buyers. I'm not sure. It's one of those things where typically, it's a more volatile asset class. As an early stage industry, it's in a constant state of price discovery. And so it's difficult sometimes to figure out where things should be valued at any given point in time. But, when something declines in value, it doesn't mean that it's not a good investment. In fact, Bitcoin's down roughly as much as Shopify is, Canada's biggest company and probably most important business. And, that doesn't mean Shopify is a bad business. It just means that the market has repriced its stock and future cash flows to a new level. So to me, Bitcoin is in a similar place. Again, you don't buy Shopify for the next 1 month of return, or at least hopefully not. And you wouldn't do the same thing with Bitcoin. You want to take a long-term view on this. And the long term, as I pointed out, is that it's driving increased adoption in the underlying technologies being used in a lot of promising applications.
Let's talk about regulation. There is now increased pressure on regulators to crack down on the industry. You call this the Wild West part of the industry. What are the regulations in this country?
Well, I would actually argue that digital assets are pretty well regulated. For example, in Canada, ETFs are allowed. They're permitted under the securities laws. And so my firm, Ninepoint Partners, has a carbon neutral Bitcoin ETF that's been trading on the TSX for many months. Other firms similarly have these kinds of products. You see crypto asset exchanges coming under the purview of regulators, and miners setting up in Canada, relocating from places like China because of abundant fuel, are being welcomed with open arms. So I would actually make the case that, to be sure, regulation is important. We need regulators, and they are stepping up, and I think that's helping to give confidence in this industry, to give investors and users comfort in the asset class and in the underlying technology, and I think that's good for everybody.
Alex, great to speak to you this morning. Thanks so much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.